Ready to grab your backpack and join us on a journey? This is Haunted UK Podcast's Tour Haunts. Welcome, dear listeners, to our series of Tour Haunts, a tour of scary, just for you. So in your mind, grab a backpack, a metaphorical torch in hell, maybe even some holy salt as we trek around Leeds in haunted UK. Leeds is a city steeped in industrial heritage and layered with a colourful history. Whether you believe it or not, it has long been a magnet for tales of the supernatural. From its Victorian architecture to its medieval foundations, the city's landscape is dotted with buildings that seem to whisper secrets from the past. But beyond the bricks and mortar which make up street after street, there's something else that is dark and elusive. Ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and lingering echoes continue to live on, while the people of Leeds go about their business. This two-part tour haunt explores the most compelling and well-documented paranormal stories in Leeds. These accounts are not mere folklore. Many are supported by historical records, eyewitness testimonies, and investigations by paranormal researchers. Whether rooted in tragedy, mystery, or coincidence, each story offers a glimpse into the city's spectral underbelly. Why Leeds? Perhaps it's the city's turbulent past, marked by war, poverty, and rapid industrialization that has left emotional imprints on its buildings and streets. Or perhaps it's the people, whose stories and experiences continue to fuel the legends. Whatever the reason, Leeds remains one of the UK's most haunted cities, and its paranormal tales deserve a closer look. Temple Newsam, a grand Tudor-Jacobean mansion nestled in the heart of Leeds, is often described as one of the most haunted houses in Britain. With over 500 years of history and a lineage that includes royalty, scandal, and tragedy, it's no surprise that the estate has become a focal point for paranormal investigations and curious visitors alike. Among the most famous spirits said to roam its halls is Lady Mary Ingram, known as the Blue Lady. In the 17th century, at just 14 years of age, Mary was reportedly robbed by highwaymen while travelling home from a party. During the traumatic incident, one of the items stolen from her was a pearl necklace, which had been given to her as a gift by her grandfather, Sir Arthur Ingram. Bravely, Mary managed to flee the carriage she was travelling in, returning to Temple Newsam in a state of shock. Becoming completely obsessed with finding her pearl necklace again, Mary convinced herself that it was somewhere in Temple Newsam. As if she'd become possessed by some sort of spirit, she repeatedly searched all over the house, desperately trying to locate the stolen necklace, even going so far as to remove floorboards and unpick the stitching on cushions. Her obsession became so deep that she even began to refuse food and drink. She died shortly after, and her ghost is said to appear, dressed in blue, wandering the corridors in a dazed and sorrowful state. Staff and visitors have reported sudden chills, flickering lights, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched, especially in the rooms associated with her story. There have also been many tales of witnesses seeing the Blue Lady and watching her as she sobs uncontrollably. Another strange and eerie phenomenon, typically associated with the ghost of Lady Mary Ingram, is the way that some of the carpets in Temple Newsam ripple and move, as if someone is walking across them. Another tragic tale involves Phoebe Gray, a young maid who suffered a tragic and violent death. One evening in 1704, Phoebe was asked to go upstairs and serve drinks to guests who were staying over at the house in relation to the Battle of Blenheim. As she made her way to the room she had been instructed to attend to, she encountered a man called William Collinson, who was also a servant at Temple Newsam. Collinson had taken a fancy to Phoebe and tried to force himself upon her, but she resisted and fought back. This angered Collinson, and he used his greater size and strength to suffocate her, killing her in cold blood. In an act just as horrific as the murder itself, William Collinson disposed of Phoebe Gray's body by throwing it down a well which was located on the estate. She was just 16 years old. But justice would quickly come back to haunt William Collinson, as he was later apprehended, tried, and publicly hanged. Yet many believe Phoebe's spirit never found peace, and there have been plenty of stories from witnesses to back this up. Screams have been heard coming from the cellar of the house, as if someone is crying for help. These screams have been so loud at times that they have been said to echo throughout the stone corridors of the cellar. Another hotspot for activity related to the spirit of Phoebe Gray is the back staircase where she met her death. Many visitors and members of staff have heard slow, rhythmic thumping sounds, which are believed to be the sound of Phoebe's body being dragged down the steps. But the haunting spirit of Phoebe Gray isn't just limited to screams and the horrific thuds heard on the isolated staircase. Oh no, she's been seen as well. Reports have been made detailing the sighting of a woman, young, pale in complexion and wearing a servant's attire, who has been seen roaming both the area near the well and the cellar. Said to have an expression often described as confused, frightened, or sorrowful, the spirit of Phoebe Gray has also been linked to leaving witnesses feeling nauseous. Unlike residual hauntings that replay moments in time, Phoebe's presence is often described as intelligent and reactive. Paranormal investigators have claimed to make contact with her spirit, noting spikes in EMF readings and unexplained audio recordings during vigils. Her story has become a poignant reminder of the vulnerability of young women in service during the 18th century, and of how trauma can imprint itself upon a place. Temple Newsam may be grand and stately, but in its quietest corners, the tragedy of Phoebe Gray still whispers through the stone. Temple Newsam's architecture itself seems to amplify its haunted reputation, with creaking floorboards, shadowy staircases, and dimly lit galleries. The house provides the perfect setting for ghostly encounters. Whether one believes in spirits or not, the stories surrounding Temple Newsam continue to captivate and unsettle, making it a cornerstone of Leeds' paranormal lore. We now move from a stately home to what was once the largest woolen mill in the world, Armley Mills. Armley Mills stands as a monument to Leeds' industrial past, and some say, a haven for restless spirits. Built in the late 18th century and rebuilt after a devastating fire in 1788, the mill operated for over a century before closing in 1969. Today, it houses the Leeds Industrial Museum, but its legacy is far from silent. Visitors and staff have long reported eerie phenomena within the mill's cavernous halls. One of the most frequently mentioned apparitions is that of a Victorian woman, often seen standing near the looms, her gaze fixed on machinery that hasn't run in decades. Her presence is usually accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature and the faint scent of lavender, an aroma historically associated with mourning. It's difficult to link an identity to this woman simply because of the many people who worked at the mill in its heyday, but many have seen her and commented that the expression on her face is one of grief. Another recurring figure is a man wearing a top hat and a cape, who is believed to be a factory foreman. Witnesses describe him pacing the upper floors, inspecting the premises as if still on duty. His appearance is often preceded by the sound of heavy boots echoing through empty corridors. But his party piece comes when visitors are close by, as he whispers into their ears. His presence has also been linked to poltergeist activity, especially the phenomenon of cotton bobbins being thrown across rooms. Perhaps the most unsettling reports involve the ghost of a young boy whose cries have been heard echoing through the basement. Some speculate he may have been a child labourer, a tragic reminder of the harsh conditions faced by workers during the Industrial Revolution. Paranormal teams have recorded unexplained audio phenomena and electromagnetic spikes in the area where the cries are most often heard. Staying for a moment longer with the subject of child labourers, the ghost of a little girl has also been reported, all but briefly near machinery. As quickly as she appears, she disappears, but where to is a mystery. Again, it's literally impossible to put a name to this spirit due to the number of children who would have been employed at the mill. Before we move on to our next location around Leeds, the cinema room is definitely worth a mention. This small space, which is tucked away within the huge confines of the mill, has been the subject of several incredibly disturbing encounters with a male spirit. There are a few theories as to who this person is, from a former factory worker, a caretaker, to even a projectionist, but whoever this restless spirit is, he certainly dishes out his fair share of scares. This presence is said to be very intimidating, a fact confirmed by those who've had the misfortune of experiencing him. An oppressive atmosphere, feelings of dread and grief, and a heavy, almost unbearable invisible weight which envelopes the area are some of the most common effects which people have reported in this room. Maybe a place to steer well clear of. Armley Mill's haunting reputation is bolstered by its oppressive atmosphere, thick stone walls, dim lighting, and the constant hum of silence broken only by the occasional creak or whisper. Whether these experiences are echoes of history or something more spectral, the mill remains one of Leeds' most compelling paranormal sites. The Thackray Museum of Medicine, located not far from St James's Hospital, occupies a building that once served as the Leeds Union Workhouse. Built in 1861, the workhouse was a place for the city's poor, sick, and destitute, many of whom lived and died in harsh conditions. Today, the museum offers a fascinating look into medical history, but beneath its educational facade lies a darker, more eerie presence. Visitors and staff have reported a range of paranormal phenomena here. One of the most frequently seen apparitions is that of a woman in 18th century dress, often spotted gliding silently through the museum's Victorian street exhibit. A woman, at home it may seem. Her presence is typically accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, a trait which we find in many paranormal encounters, but also accompanied by another one, a very particular smell, the scent of antiseptic. Another recurring figure is a man in a white coat, believed to be a former doctor or orderly. Witnesses describe him appearing briefly in doorways or walking down corridors just before vanishing into thin air, which comes as a complete shock due to the fact that this spirit seems so solid and real. His ghost is often associated with the old surgical wing, where historical procedures are reenacted. Maybe this doctor or orderly is still trying to complete his rounds, see to his patients, take care of the living. This, again, is another pattern which we see in many witness accounts of ghost sightings. It seems that those with a deep sense of responsibility in life continue to carry that same responsibility in death. The doctor trending to his or her patients, the nurse checking in on rounds which no longer exist, the security guards still pacing their route, making sure everything is okay. Is this another example of an imprint in the fabric of time, or even on the surrounding buildings or stone pathways? Unexplained sounds are commonplace in the Thackray Museum, with footsteps echoing in empty hallways, knocking noises appearing to come from behind sealed walls, and eerie whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Paranormal investigators have recorded electromagnetic fluctuations and temperature anomalies throughout the building, particularly in areas that once housed the infirm and dying. Again, another fitting location for paranormal and supernatural activity. The museum's haunted reputation is not just folklore, it's rooted in the building's grim past. The workhouse was a place of suffering, and many believe that the huge emotional trauma suffered by many of those who found themselves living and working there has left a lasting imprint. Whether these manifestations are echoes of history or something more, the Thackray Museum remains one of Leeds' most unsettling locations. And that is where we are going to pull this coach tour of Leeds over into some services, just in time for some light refreshments and a well-needed break. But fear not, dear listeners, as part 2 of our tour haunt around Leeds will be coming very soon. So until then, stay safe and take care.